When did the doors open here?
technically 2019.
2019.
But we were doing pop-ups. And then we opened here in 2020 for a little bit, and then COVID happened. So we shut down. That was in March of 2020, and then we reopened in November of 2020.
Wow.
And yeah, so it was, we were excited, and then, but there was the biggest blessing, and I tell people this, is I don't know if I told this story, but it was the biggest blessing because we just got those thousands, and we didn't know how to really use them. And so when we shut down, we started doing like these underground pop-ups at my house.
Oh, wow.
And we worked on like menu items. So we were working on the Sunday breakfast, the briskets. We do packages, and we just put a table in the driveway of my house. And we just sold like a package, like a brisket, beans or whatever. But we worked on our sides, and we worked on our sauce, and we worked on the pits,
Sure.
and how to use them. Even though there was like maybe 4 briskets on there, it was the biggest blessing in disguise because we were able to work for those 8 months, I guess you could say.
Sure.
That they needed to really hone our skills. So when we reopened in January, technically, and what I mean by reopen, that means like 4 days a week, not just the weekends. We were acting like we were already running for years, and that's what was the difference between us. There was no hiccups, there was no growing pains, there was nothing. It was like a fine old machine because I had the team that I still had at my house, and we worked together as a team, sides and everything, so there was no hiccups. So in the back, we had 2025 with a number 1.
Is that right?
I tell people this, we never focused on 2021 list. We really didn't because we were so new. Our goal was 2025. That was it. That was our goal. We put 2025 number 1. And that was our goal from day one. It wasn't what we just, if we got on the list, we knew we had barbecue that was good enough to be on the list on the 2021. We weren't focused on that one because we were so new. So we said, if we can just get a top 50, that's cool, but we're shooting for one for 2025. And so when we got number 4, we were floored. Like, okay, then by then, the momentum just got even more, like I got more obsessed because I was like, if we hit 4 and we just a year, I said, I have 4 years to make it so overwhelmingly unanimous that the Burnt Bean should be one that there's nothing stopping us. We were a freight train, and as the years went on, we just got more momentum, and we were a screaming final old machine by the time 2025 hit. And that was our whole goal. It was to be one. That was it. It wasn't, oh, let's see what happens. No. And Dave, and that a lot of people, that's why people like Ronnie Killen's the only guy that knew who I was, and Issa Wolf, knew who I was on the competition world and knew how I was, my worth ethic and everything. And they said, guys, if Ernest comes and opens, like even Ronnie said, when I said coming soon Burnt Bean, he said, he goes, this is an FYI to every restaurant. This guy's gonna make yourself push yourself because this guy's gonna push everybody to be better because he does not stop. And that's how I am. The whole Burnt Bean, I tell people this, since 2007, I daydreamed about this place. You have this beautiful, okay, I'm gonna put this in here. I'm gonna do what I wanted to do. Just like the name Burnt Bean does not sound like barbecue.
Right.
Okay. That's how we were gonna be, and that's how we are. Look at the building. This is not a barbecue. This does not look like a barbecue joint. We wanted to be different since day one, and that was our niche. Is I wanted to do something that everybody's going this way, we were going this way. And what I mean by this way, we were honoring the big 3: brisket, ribs, and sausage. We were gonna honor that, keep it as traditional as possible, Central Texas style. But then after that, there was nothing, the gloves were off. And I was gonna bring in my culinary skills and basically my story of my life in everything else. And that's what we did. A lot of people thought, okay, he's gonna do Tex-Mex because he's Hispanic, but then I'm throwing different flavors because my journey's to get to where I'm at. I didn't wanna do what everybody else was doing. If there was a fad, I wasn't doing that. If there was this, I wasn't doing that. And that's what separated the Burnt Bean from day one. Like no one was doing a brunch.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I did that, and I even told Dave, when we started, it was like, Dave was like, are you sure? Because you're putting in some long hours. Now you're gonna kill yourself. It's like, just one day. And it's pain because my grandma was, getting sick.
Sure.
And I wanted to pay homage to her and do this whole Tex-Mex thing like she did growing up. I was inviting you to her house on Sunday after church, and the vibe, the music, and the smells, and everything, and I'm taking you back to my hometown, and no one was doing that, and it worked, and because I told everybody, here's the difference, and I'm going to bring you up, for example, Cadillac. What makes Burnt Bean different than Cadillac? We're both Titans. At the time, you were a bigger Titan than I was. What's going to separate me and you? They call us the new generation of barbecue, the changing of the guard after, you had, I always say this, your Kreitz and your Smitty's and all the blacks. And then the world changed when Franklin came. And what Franklin brought was better quality meats, still the same, but better quality meats. He did this more of our, artisan or whatever you want to call it, more of a finer focus on the quality of proteins. And then everybody kind of was inspired, and then they did a riff off that. But he still ran the basics, potato salad, beans and stuff. So as a journey from 2007, when I would read the Texas Monthly things, and it was just beans and potato salad, and it was cool. And then you got Franklin's, which was still the same, but then you start hearing people like yourself where you're throwing really unique sides and really killer desserts. Because why? What is going to be different? And the difference was, it's called social media.
Right.
Social media, especially Instagram, opened Pandora's box, i.e. the knowledge. People now are like educated on what good food is. They see it. They have all these foodies that are going to these barbecue. So when they go there, they're going, what are you going to give me more?
Right.
I'm not going to be satisfied with just beans and potato salad. I'm not going to wait in a 2-hour line for beans, potatoes. Yes, I know your brisket's good, but what makes your stuff better than Joe Schmo over here? You had to bring
just brisket.
Right. Our new customers are so knowledgeable on food and what good food is.
Yes.
What are you going to bring different? And that's how the Burnt Bean established what we are today. And it had to be from, if this restaurant was going to be a chef-driven restaurant. And now what I mean by chef-driven, sides, being unique, being creative with the sides, but yet at the same time, not being so foo-foo that it's intimidating.
Right.
You wanted something that if someone
you can pronounce the dishes.
Right. So like prime example, our cakes. Our cakes are made fresh daily. But we don't go and make a Godiva espresso macchiato cake.
Right.
We make German chocolate. We make carrot. We make cinnamon roll. We make, all these familiar things, but we execute them better. That's where the chef comes in. So that's what we're bringing, is that we're not bringing sides that are intimidating. We're doing mac and cheese, but elevated. We're doing our bacon ranch taters that are elevated. Our corn pudding, my version of street corn, but in a pudding form, elevated. So that's what makes us different, is that yes, we're bringing our culinary skills, but not to the point where our customers are going to be intimidated and not want to try it, because they always base off of what potato salad and beans, and then after that
start with the basics,
right? But now you're educating them.
Sure.
So we have customers at the beginning where on Thursdays, they have the auction, and they come into town, they get their HEB, they go sell their cattle or whatever. And he used to come in here and get a plate and be like, Ernest, I'll take, at the beginning, they're like, I'll take sliced beef, which that's old school. They don't even say brisket. I say sliced beef, beans, potato salad. But then the next time they come, what is this?
Right.
What is that? You know what I mean?
Their eyes start.
Right. Mind you, because everywhere else they're so used to beans and potato salad. And you get these 67-year-old men with their wives, are so cute. Now they're like, oh man, I'll take some of them taters and the corn pudding, or I'll get those green beans, because that's all they knew was that. But we educated them. One thing, I don't know if you know this about me, and I think in some interviews and things, I'm always 6 months ahead. So everything that's put out here, special-wise, anything that new here, has been methodically planned out for 6 to 8 months before I even roll it out. It's never on a whim. It's never, hey, let's just throw this and see what happens.
Sure.
It's so executed so right, because our standard, the people say I have high standards. It's not that I have high standards, it's the standard. So when you have executed, you have the reputation of who we are, if you throw something out on a whim, if you haven't researched it and developed it and brought in people that are going to be honest with you, what happens is the famous word comes out, oh, they must have had an off day.
An off day, yep.
And you don't want that. There's no such
No.
thing. That word does not exist here. And how that happens is you have to be ahead of the game. You have to understand who your people are. We have, at the beginning of when we opened, I was really catering for the small town folks. As we got more, we went from 80-20 locals to people from out of town. Now it's the opposite. So now when you have 80 coming in here that are out of towners and 20 that are local, now you can have fun with the menus.
Sure.
So everything is methodically planned out. Everything is not on a whim, because it's all about they were off day. There's no such thing. That's why everybody, I wanted to be, that goes back to what I was telling you on Sundays, we had a niche. That's the same thing how we have here, is that there's no such thing as an off day. And also what we bring to the bean is there's burnt bean and then there's everybody else. Because when you come to my restaurant, you cannot compare my place to anybody else unless you want to compare like briskets or a rib. But other than that, I came up with a business program, a business model that was this is me, and then there's everybody else, and then everybody else is seeing what I'm doing, and they kind of get inspired, and then you can see where people are kind of doing that. Because at the end of the day, since day one, I'm that horse with blinders. I wasn't going for anybody. I didn't care what everybody else was doing.
Right.
And when you have that mentality and that discipline,
You had your own vision.
I had my own blinders and I had my own vision, and I wasn't getting distracted by everybody else. When you have that, you become a very scary person, because you don't care what everybody else is doing. You don't care about anything else except what you and your team are doing. The culture here is you have to lead by example, first of all. And leading by example is I get here every day at 1:32 in the morning. They see me here and they understand what the objective is, the mentality. I've had the same team literally since day one.
Wow.
I think I've lost maybe 2 or
Good
3
for you.
employees. And you create a culture. There's only one manager, and it's me. You have leaders.
There's only one bean.
Right. There's only one person, because if you create a culture where there's only one person they report to, you don't have cliques. You don't have, well, he told me, well, who do I listen to?
Right.
And that creates that bond. Everybody's here screened for a month. If you don't fit the profile, if you don't fit the mold, if you have cancer, as I call it, and you miss up the team, they're gone. I'm not going to be desperate to just fill in holes in the leaks if they're not going to be able to produce well with us. You understand? We have one goal, one culture, and I kept on drilling it in their head that we're going to be number one. We're going to do this. And they believed in it. And then when we did get it, they were like, oh my God. And I knew, I kid you not, Todd, the last 7 months here before the new list came out, I was getting them groomed, and they had no idea. I was getting them groomed mentally, physically, and quantity-wise. Get ready, because if we hit number one, it was just another day. And I had to reiterate it, and it took them a week. But they were really worried when the line was right there, because it went around the whole block, and it's all mental. I said, guys, what was the difference when it was down here?
Still one person at a
It's
time.
still one person, but like, chef, well, chef, we're number one. We gotta prove to them that we're number one. I said, no, we're going to show them. There's a difference between proving and showing. We proved why we were number one. Now we're going to show. So every day the standards has been this, guys. We're not going above and beyond. This standard got us number one. We're going to keep on doing it. We're going to do the sides the same. We're going to do the briskets the same. We're going to do everything, because at the end of the day, if you ask my team, ask them, if you ask them, so who do you work for? They'll say, I work for the customers. And then they say, well, who does your boss work for? And they work for me. That's what we do here, because I give them everything they need to be successful. And they, in return, do everything to make this place successful. Oh, we've thrown 1,200 links.
Wow.
We're not going to sell it, and they know that. We have 4 people that taste the food before we put it out. And mind you, I'm not one of them. because I'm biased.
Sure.
Because I make the beans and I make the mac
Critical on
sauce.
everything, right.
And of course, chef is perfect every time. But you know what? Sometimes chef is off, and he won't admit it. But I have 4 people. It has to. Everything is here runs unanimous. If I'm not here, it has to be 4. My team has to be unanimous on we're not going to sell it. That's the way it is here. They try it, chef, and then they come and get me. This is not ours. This is not our standard. It's very rare, but it happens. Like that one time with the sauce, and we knew it. I knew it when I put it in. I was smoking. I'm like, this does not look right. And the problem is that our cooler went down, and they try to save it by putting it in the freezer, and it broke already.
Yeah.
But they still piped it just in case, and it was all bad. So the next morning it was just, it's broken, and I said, throw it away. And one of my new employees is like, it's a shame that we're throwing all this thing. We're losing a lot of money. I'm like, we're not losing money because it's not our standard. So that's why everybody took a bunch of sausage home, you know what I mean?
Right.
But, we try to grind it up because we use it in our beans. We try to utilize as much as possible. But if you have that mentality and you create a culture where the standard is that, there's no cutting corners, there's no, we can make this happen. No, if it's bad, just start all over. And they have that. And I said, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. Just don't do it again. So you got to understand, I've waited all my life for this. So I understand how much a salt pack costs. I know how much a straw costs. I know how much a sweet low costs. I know how much my linen costs. I remember when I used to get my linen bill, I'd be like, all right, I'm a big believer on Excel spreadsheets. I used to write, that's how I was successful, because I would write, okay, what was the weather like? What was this? What was going on in town? Why were we slow? It was a beautiful day. All that I have. And I always have it for the year before. So we're not guessing. You cannot guess in this game, especially when you're playing with meat prices. Right. I would always look up the stocks, and my wife would always be, what are you looking? You don't even have stocks. I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at how much the grain is right now, how much the feed is, how's the weather look like? Do we have any droughts? Because I know in 3 to 6 months, that's going to affect us. Bird flus, egg cattle, everything. I go call my buddy because he's a rancher. How much are you getting for cattle right now? If he tells me like right now, $2,700 for a heifer, I know we're screwed. Because why? That's beef prices are going to go up. So that's where you adapt. So beginning when you said, I would go and get my linen. My linen guy hated me because I'd be like, take half of this back. He's like, well, I can't. I'm like, I can't afford this. And what we do is we'd wash it. Because I had to because why? COVID, and it wasn't the beef prices. It wasn't the chicken prices. It was the freaking foam boxes.
Wow.
It was the little things like those little guys that were costing more money. The gloves were $125 a case.
Right. They were crazy.
I wasn't worried about the beef prices because I can make that happen. I can sell more chicken. It was the things that I couldn't help, what you call there's controllables and non-controllables.
Right.
Well, the problem with this is that technically a controllable, but at that time it was a non-controllable because you can go anywhere and everybody's selling at the same price. Yeah. So those are the things that when you starting off and then you look at your bank account and you got $2,000, is where you have to, what you would call, not necessarily, usually it's called trim the fat, but it wasn't here. It's called survival, and that's what we had to do here. Todd, I tell people I'm up by 12:30 every morning. The first 2 years I slept on a couch. I work 17, 18 hours a day, and I'm not complaining one bit because you know what makes it all worth it? When you're on that board without crying right now, and you see people, they put the first whatever in their mouth, and they're like,
right.
All that
you made their day.
You made their day. The number one thing, besides quality, the one thing I wanted to bring back to American restaurant society or American restaurants of today was good old-fashioned customer service.
Yep.
Because I'm telling you,
it's all about that experience.
It's a dying art. It's a dying art. I remember my dad used to go to the shittiest restaurant for his birthday, but they treated him like a king.
Sure.
I can always say you can have okay food and amazing service. They'll come back quicker than if you have shitty service and amazing food. When you're there with the customer service and you're bringing them back and you're making them feel special, that's something that I guess us old school people know about, because that's what we used to there was career waiters and they make you feel special. And I always said this too, and I always tell my team this, and I gave them a speech on that, is why do people go to fancy restaurants for their birthdays and anniversaries? They make them feel like $1 million, right? Because why? Because they, in people's head, believe that only fancy restaurants can make my birthday special because they treat me special. So that's what I got and said, why can't I do that in the barbecue industry and make them feel extra special on their day or any day they come in here, minus the fancy plates we'll throw in the butcher paper. But why couldn't we do that? And it's very simple. When you have a team that by the time they're over here, they're like, oh my God. You know, sometimes we go to the fun, and what makes fine dining, they find that small little detail that is their birthday or something, and they go and put it on there without them knowing, and that makes it special. Sometimes they tag us. Okay, this is what I do. They tag us on Instagram, and they'll tag us on Facebook. They're in line. I'm so excited. It's my birthday today. I'm in Burnt Bean today. Sitting in line. What do? We remember their faces, and I have their pictures, and I show my people. So when they come, happy birthday. How did you know that? You know what I mean? Hey, happy anniversary. Was it 39 years? How did you know that? And if it's a usual that we have in here, we throw a big old thing on the board. We'll put their own table, and we'll get them from line and bring them in. You don't have to wait because it's a special. Those are the little details that make, they're like, we get lifetimers.
And you're looking for those.
Mm-hmm.
And you're
if you
making sure
me and
you don't
say
miss
it's your
one.
birthday. Yeah. Or they'll be like, hey, it's my first time here. I flew in all the way from Germany, and we'll put a welcome in, and they like these people from Sweden came in, a group of 8, and we had their own table, and we put it in their own language. Welcome to the Burnt Bean. They were like blown away, and it's those small little things. If you fail, and this is one thing I had to be entered with me, it's 2 words. It's okay. A lot of people don't beat themselves up, or they screw up, or they do something bad. I call it, it's okay. It's okay. Let's bounce back up. A lot of people beat themselves up. If you're willing to cut corners, don't open. I always say, if you've heard of the French Laundry, okay, there's only one Thomas Keller restaurant.
Right.
This is my French Laundry. There's only going to be one Burnt Bean. But I always tell people this, is that you're going to make mistakes, but that's how you don't lose, you learn and you grow. One, to make sure you're okay, and whatever money you have budgeted, multiply by 3. Don't ever take out loans.
What's next?
Oh, we got a lot of irons in the fire. We're going to do a Burnt Bean bakery.
Wow.
And it's going to be right here, and then we're going to do a Burnt Bean mercantile right there. And then we just got on Yellow Belly. I'm not Yellow, Gold Belly.
Gold Belly.
So we got all that going too. We have a lot of things working, but the one thing I always told Dave, and that's why we're the tortoise, not the hare. It has to work with the objective, and the objective is this place has to be perfect.
Sure.
Before anything else. We want to do cool stuff. This comes first. So this will not be touched. This won't be affected.
And these are the people that come here that will go down the street and get the bakery on their way out and a coffee for the road.
Well, so we're hoping, because it goes this way, I'll show you where the building's going to be, but it's our bakery right now. They might stop there while they're waiting in line.
Could do that too.
So yeah, we got a lot of things we want to do, but everything is to make all these, the mercantile, the Burnt Bean Bakery, is all that is to make this place better. I hate to call myself the owner, but as a leader, you have to have compassion, empathy, and you got to inspire these guys every day.
Yes. Because
it doesn't matter how good your team is, they always lean towards complacency and comfort. You don't want them comfortable. You got to push it. And remember one thing, we're just getting started here.
I know.
This is
I
only
know
chapter
that.
2.